other discussions that are important. And wow, I don't know how these people are still in friggin' office. If there's one guy that really needs to just go to jail or be Mussolini'd, it's this guy right over here. Take a look.
Free or die.
Free or die.
Now you are free.
Yes.
And we will be.
And the Russians are dying.
It's the best money we've ever spent.
Thank you so much.
Now it's
Free or die.
Free or die.
Now you are free.
Yes.
And we will be.
And the Russians are dying.
It's the best money we've ever spent.
You know, so if you're having a Nuremberg trial, this is Exhibit A. And this guy is outside getting, as the Irish say, stretched.
Yeah. Let's not forget, and a lot of people go, oh, the Democrats, and Nancy Pelosi with her son and Joe Biden with his son, they were carpet bagging in Ukraine. They were awful. Let's not forget that it was John McCain, Lindsey Graham that went down there and they were starting to drum up stuff on the Maidan in 2014, and they pushed for this freaking coup themselves. It's both Republicans and Democrats alike. Mitch McConnell went down there with a coup. He went down there with Raphael Warnock. And you notice that Raphael Warnock won his election for supporting Ukraine. I don't know. I can't imagine him going back to Georgia to his constituents and saying, I went to Ukraine for us over there to help the people of Georgia. Diane, you posted this today and talked about this. I'll put up your tweet, but your thoughts and let us know. This right here, to me, is like you said, this is criminal.
Right. Well, I think so. I mean, it makes you wonder if Lindsey Graham is making snuff films or something, maybe to make a profit from this. I mean, and I think that's why we have to remember our history. Can you imagine Abraham Lincoln? He was fighting an actual insurrection called the Confederacy.
Yep.
He never would have rejoiced in people dying.
Nope.
Never. So I think that alone should give people a standard, even if Russia were completely in the wrong, which they are not.
Right.
This is something that you never say, and no one representing the United States should ever say anything like that.
I'm sitting here remembering when Trump was president, the letter from like 900 mental health professionals or whatever that decided to do a snap diagnosis of him, without any interview. What kind of pathological, psychiatric disorder, how many pages of the DSM-5, this statement from this guy right here betrays, reveals?
Yeah.
What's his mental state to make that kind of comment?
Yeah. And the Russians have issued a arrest warrant for Senator Lindsey Graham on his comments over Ukraine. I think it's great. I mean, I think it's awesome. I wish more people would do that. And here's your tweet. Let's get your tweet up there too as well, Diane, to show people. It says, I believe that all veterans of World War II and all those who died fighting ISIS would agree Lindsey Graham should be expelled from the U.S. Senate for his despicable comments glorifying the death of Russian soldiers. And we already had the post up before that. But yeah, if you want to elaborate on that, this is disgusting over here. And, I hope to God you get elected in the Senate so you can go over there and tell him to his face.
Yeah, well, Russia, the Soviet Union were allies of the United States in World War II. That's why I said that. The Soviet Union lost 27 million people, 1 out of 6 people. This is very personal. And the fact that Biden didn't even want to grant visas for American World War II. We don't celebrate the defeat of Hitler anymore over here. I guess people don't think it was such a great thing. But some Americans have family members who gave their lives in that war or who fought in that war, who still remember it, who do think it was a noble act. So if Russia is going to commemorate that, people wanted to go. They weren't allowed to go. And then look at Syria. I mean, we know General Flynn got fired by Obama because he didn't think it was a good idea to be arming Al-Qaeda. What a radical point of view. The Russians destroyed ISIS in Syria. Now, Americans presumably don't like Islamic terrorism, Islamic extremist terrorists. That's what they were doing. And we even had incidents where we were killing Russians in that because we were so much embedded with terrorists over there. So
Yep.
anyone who knows that would find these remarks treasonous. But as I said, even if Russia were in the wrong, I would not rejoice. I don't rejoice in Ukrainians dying. I think it's a horror.
Yeah,
I think the United States should not be using them in this way. And I don't rejoice in their dying. And I know the Russians don't because they feel that they're a brother, people.
yeah.
So
They're
they're
brothers.
not rejoicing. Exactly. I was at a meeting, by the way, where Scott Ritter was doing a book signing, and one man got up and said his daughter was in the Ukrainian army, his son was in the Russian army. He said, every morning I wake up terrified. That's what people are going through.
Yeah. Brothers and sisters are fighting against each other, and they arm the Azov Battalion because they have a history of arming the most craziest radical groups out there, whether it be the Mujahideen, going back to the Contras in Nicaragua, which I'll be going there next month in July to celebrate that revolution. I'm going to hit you with one last question before we get you out of here, Diane. You might be mad at me, but I don't care. I have to be honest and stuff like that, and I think you can handle it because I've asked questions to people similar to this before. When I had on guys from the Center for Political Innovation who were open communists, I said, why do you have to call yourself communist right now? Why can't you just stay on those principles and whatnot? There's been a lot of backlash from the LaRouche name. Why do you have to call yourself or tie yourself to LaRouche? Why can't you just be Diane Sare, the independent candidate? And why do you have to associate?
I'm really glad you did ask that because, as you know, I'm not hiding it. I didn't want to hide it. And the reason I do it is because he was an unbelievable genius. And I think it is a shame. The United States is suffering from what they did to him, calling him all these names, shutting down all of his publications, putting his associates in jail. One of my associates was given a 77-year jail sentence merely for raising funds to print a book. He served 11 years in prison. His name is Michael Billington. So, but it's not merely out of loyalty. It's that LaRouche made fundamental, incredible discoveries in physical economy. And it's like, I'll go back to Bach again. There was enormous suppression of Bach. And Mozart didn't even get to find out about him till rather late in his career. Schumann didn't find out about Bach until he'd written 2 entire symphonies. And then it's like, gee, I could have had a V8. This guy discovered all of these things. And then he was able to make a leap in aspects of his development, which you hear in Schumann's 3rd Symphony. You hear a total difference after he gets to know Bach. So my view is that the question of LaRouche is a crime against the people of the United States because you have a guy, he had mastered all of Leibniz's work when he was 14. He was a pain in the butt in school. I ran into people years ago who were with him. He said he was always fighting with the teachers. He knew more than all of them. He never made a wrong economic forecast, maybe in terms of the timing. Things didn't happen exactly then because he was looking at physics. And he was a quintessential American and loved around the world. And I think that when you have a leader like that, it would be like saying, we don't want to own Martin Luther King. Someone who's a genius. And I think the American people have been robbed. So that's why I do it. It's really not about me. It's that there's been a great wrong done to the people of our nation and the people of the world by suppressing the incredible discoveries of this genius. And unless we can get rid of the stigma associated with his name, then people aren't going to be allowed to discover what he knew.
Diane Sare, ladies and gentlemen, running for Congress, running for the Senate
From New York.
from New York, going against Kirsten Gillibrand, our favorite. I forgot what was the name of the scandal Nexium that she was involved with? I think they just kind of brushed it aside. That nobody even talks about that. It's ridiculous. It's amazing that some of these people are still holding office. Let everybody know where they can find you, Diane. And thank you for coming on the show. We hope to see you again soon. And good luck in your run and your campaign.
Thank you so much. So I can be found at sareforsenate.com. I did post it actually in the comments. My name is spelled Sare. It's very simple, 4 letters. Sare, FOR, Senate.com. I am on Facebook, knock on wood. Twitter and YouTube and Rumble, Telegram. So you can also find me at those places.
Yeah. I did a great episode with you. Got to talk about Yemen, what's going on over there. Very important stuff. So thank you so much once again, Diane. We love you. We'll see you soon. Thank you for coming
Thank you. Thank you. I love you guys too.
on. Bye, Diane. Diane Sare, ladies and gentlemen.